I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to this special meeting on April 12th of the Rhinebeck Village Board. This is a public hearing, and the purpose of this public hearing is because we are going to act on a resolution to override the tax cap. I will read the resolution, and we will move it, second it, and then it will open it for the public hearing for discussion. The resolution is, whereas the attached local law was introduced by the Village of Rhinebeck Board of Trustees on April 12, 2013, and provides for the authority to override the provisions of the General Municipal Law 3C, and whereas a public hearing was held on April 12, 2013 at 7 p.m. at Town Halls, 80 East Market Street, Rhinebeck, New York. Notice of said hearing duly published, and at which time all interested parties had an opportunity to be heard, and now therefore it be enacted by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Rhinebeck as follows. This will be local law number 1 of year 2013, a local law authorizing property tax levy in excess of the limit established in General Municipal Law Section 3C. Section 1, legislative intent. It is the intent of this local law to allow the Village of Rhinebeck to adopt a budget for the fiscal year commencing June 1, 2013 that requires a real property tax levy in excess of the tax levy limit as defined by General Municipal Law Section 3C. Section 2, authority. This local law is adopted pursuant to Subdivision 5 of General Municipal Law Section 3C, which expressly authorizes a local government's governing body to override the property tax cap for the coming fiscal year by the adoption of a local law approved by a vote of 60% of said governing body. Section 3, tax levy limit override. The Board of Trustees of the Village of Rhinebeck, County of Dutchess, is hereby authorized to adopt a budget for the fiscal year commencing June 1st, 2013 that requires a real property tax levy in excess of the amount otherwise prescribed in General Municipal Law, Section 3C. Section 4, severability. If a court determines that any clause, sentence, paragraph, subdivision, or part of this local law or the application thereof to any person, firm, or corporation or circumstance is invalid or unconstitutional, the court's order or judgment shall not affect, impair, or invalidate the remainder of this local law, but shall be confined in its operation to the clause, sentence, paragraph, subdivision, or part of this local law, or in its application to the person, individual, firm, or corporation, or circumstance directly involved in the controversy in which such judgment or order shall be rendered. Section 5, effective date. This local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. Do I have a motion to adopt this resolution?
Second.
Do I have a motion? You're making a motion?
Make a motion to adopt this.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. I will ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Comments from the public? Anybody? Come on up to the microphone, Piper, please. State your name, please.
I'm sorry, Piper Woods. As a business property owner in the village. I have just some general questions. Can those questions be answered, or
What are your questions pertaining to?
I think this. Well, I'm very interested in knowing if this is something that is just for this year, and like the override is just for this year, and the tax cap will be revisited next year, or whether it's
Correct.
Like, so
By law, you have to pass the resolution every budget year.
okay.
And even if you're going to stay under the 2% tax cap, council always advises that you still pass the resolution just in case there is an error discovered later on. Town of Red Hook is going through this right now, where they had made a small math error and actually overrode the cap by, I think, about $9,000. So they always advise you pass the resolution just in case there's a problem, but it has to be revisited every year.
Okay. And what is the increase?
We don't know yet. We have not finalized the budget yet.
Okay.
We had a tentative budget, but we're still working on it. We're trying to get it down as low as we possibly can. So we have to pass the budget by the end of the month, but we had to pass this resolution for tax over. We know we will be over 2%.
Do you have an idea of what you will be, I mean, according to like the proposed budget, like what percentage over that is from the 2%?
Well, when we went through our first edition, I will say, and when we looked at it, we said this is totally unacceptable. So we're working on it again, trying to get it down even lower, and it's challenging.
Sure,
you know,
sure.
We don't know for sure what it's going to be yet.
But when you say that in your first initial one, is that this proposed 2012, 13, is this one?
Well, it wouldn't be 12, 13. You know, our proposed budget will be for 13, 14. All right, so when you look at the far right column.
Okay, I guess from what I'm hearing is that this one, I was just curious if you knew even what it was going to be, because obviously that comes into play, whether you're talking about a 4%, increase or whether it's how much over the 2% it is. But I guess
we're not there yet.
You're not either.
Yep.
Okay.
Oops.
I did go through or what I printed offline, and I had just a few questions about it. Can I ask those?
Sure. And if you can, if you would refer to the page you're looking at, and if you look in the code column, and just let us know which line item you're looking at.
Okay. I know that, okay, well, I'll just start. With regard to garbage, I'm curious, it says the revenue for garbage is going down by 20%, and that's
Okay.
page 9. And then, it actually shows that and it also, I guess, the revenue's going down along the same lines as your costs, which is good. But my question is kind of, have you guys looked at, right now it's Village that does garbage, correct? Compared to is it subbed out?
The village still does pick up waste and recycling within the village. We only have about 25% of the residents that actually use the service. We are looking at the fact that probably within the next year, we're going to have to buy 2 new pieces of equipment, which are aging, are going to need to be replaced, probably at a cost of $300,000 to $400,000. And our intent is to eliminate the garbage service. We don't think we can justify the added expense of purchasing new equipment for the little bit of use that it gets.
I actually think that's a great idea. And for both those reasons, as well as the fact of the low participation, it seems like so many residents, as well as business properties, already use, alternate services. I guess if you guys are going to consider keeping it, it would be great if it was somehow, if the cost of the garbage use or garbage pickup was actually charged to the people who are using it. I mean, it looks like you're covering your
What our hope
versus,
what our hope was, Piper, and this is going back over a year ago, was that we could perhaps work with the town and figure out a way that the town and the village could share a service or consolidate an operation and work together. And at that time, the town was still had the transfer station. But when they decided to privatize, that really forced our hand. And what we are looking at is that, we have a very small percentage of the population that uses it. The cost is going to provide it is going to increase dramatically because of the purchase of new equipment. And it's very difficult for us to justify it. We're in very, very challenging times, and it's very difficult to continue to provide all the services that you provide and be able to do it cost effectively. The 2% tax cap that the governor put on us, or I should say the state of New York has passed down, it's a noble idea. but it's very difficult to live within, especially when there's no mandate relief. You know, if you look through this budget, you'll see we had $57,000 increase in retirement pensions coming up for 2013-14.
Yeah, we lost $18,000
We
in
lost
sales tax revenue.
$18,000 in sales tax revenue, mortgage tax revenue because of the real estate market slowing down has decreased. It's very, very difficult times.
5% right there from unfunded mandates.
I completely understand about
It's
overhead
voodoo,
costs going
we're
up.
working on voodoo basically from there. I mean,
Definitely.
yeah.
I mean, I completely understand overhead going up. I mean, mine's going up too, you know, my rent is less, you know, than previous years. and
Yeah, we
it's
get it.
going up. So
Insurance.
I completely understand.
Right.
You know, everything has gone up. My other question is with regard to employee benefits. And I realize many of these things were determined in previous contracts or, you know, what have you, or state or, you know, different things that are kind of out of your hands. That being said, I'm curious whether the health benefits that are, the health insurance, specifically medical, dental, eye, what have you, whether the village has switched over as a requirement to all staff to high deductible plans.
We've been using the high deductible plan for 2 years now.
Okay.
We did renegotiate one union contract. We have 2 different collective bargaining units. We renegotiated one contract this year. The other one is due for renegotiation again this year. And through the negotiation process, we were able to get a higher contribution rate from the employees. And we put a cap on the amount that the dental and the eye can be. The village pays, but it's at a cap, so anything that increase that comes in after the signing of that contract, which will be this year when we renew the health insurance, any increase in that part of the health plan, the employee is going to be responsible for. So, you know, there was a serious negotiation effort, and we came to an agreement with them, and there's a cost savings to the village.
One of my other questions is in regards to the gardens. I'm just curious, and I know I'm not using the correct words, language. I know that there was previously being purchased by Kirchhoff and was basically abandoned. There was a big chunk of dollars that basically the village had to eat, if you will. Is that, I don't,
Well,
or maybe not eat, but.
The sad reality of it was that there was no guarantees in place, and this happened twice. And the project went belly up twice. So the users of the wastewater system were the ones that were paying for the cost of the $1.6 million expansion of the plant. And when Kirchhoff came into the picture, Brandt and I had a good negotiation with them, and they are now paying the cost of the bond. And the users have been given the relief from it, and we have lowered the rates to the users because of that.
Okay, that was my question. And then I guess my last question, I think, is in regards to the police station. Are those
Figures in there?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And what I will say is, you know, that we went through a lengthy 2-year process about the police station and looked at all different possibilities. We looked at perhaps purchasing, not building here, purchasing another piece of property and building somewhere else. We looked at putting an annex onto the village hall. We looked at buildings, other buildings, 2 in particular, and the problem we ran into is by code, the retrofits we would have had to done would have made that very, very expensive. So after 2 years of careful study, the cheapest way we could do it was to build this. Now, some would say, well, why not contract the police service out, have the sheriff's office provide it? Well, the sheriff's office provides police service for us at the fairgrounds, and then we bill the fairgrounds for that service, but the sheriff's office cannot work for the fairgrounds. They have to work for the Village of Rhinebeck. So the fees that the sheriffs charge are reasonable for a professional police agency and a full-time police agency. But basically, it would have cost us about $675,000 a year to contract with the police and have the Dutchess County Sheriff's Department provide the coverage that we are used to having, okay? So someone might say, well, why not cut the amount of service that you provide? Well, we find when we look at what's happened over the last several years, and especially because the economy is bad, I think has a lot to do with it, but crime goes up, and you have more incidents and more arrests, and we have a part-time police department. Our operating budget for 14 officers last year was $360,000. Now we have the added cost of the operation or the construction of the police station that's going to be added to that. But when you factored everything together, over a 20-year period, it was still cheaper for us to do it, build our own police station, have our own police force, than it would be to contract it out for the same period of time. We don't have control over who's in the cars when we pay a contracted agency, and the sliding scale of what those people make based on seniority is sometimes double what our officers make. We don't pay any health insurance for any of our employees that are in the police department because they're all part-timers. There's a lot of different factors. I do not have the report with me, but I did a lengthy analysis of it, and when you factored in the labor rate and you factored in the Social Security and the pensions and all of that stuff, it was significantly cheaper to go the way we did. We knew it was going to have a tax impact. We knew it was going to make us exceed the tax cap, and we made that quite obvious. It was public when we went through the whole process. We let people know. We know we're going over the tax cap. We know your taxes will go up, but this was the most minimal impact we could come up with.
I'm actually, I mean, I know that you guys did your due diligence with regard to the police station and building it, and I think it's just, one of those things, and I think it will be, a value to, the village, over time. I am curious, I guess, is the police station going to be staffed? I mean, are the services going to be expanded? I mean, or are the hours, I guess,
No.
going to be expanded? Like, will the police station actually be staffed 24 hours? Or
No.
is it mostly
No. It'll be the same coverage we're providing now. 16 hours a day, basically.
Take over at a certain time or something like that?
Yeah, when we're not staffed, the state troopers are the ones that are covering for us.
And will anyone else, for instance, is there a way to, and maybe rent is not the appropriate word, but is there a way to gain any revenue from the police station as a way of possibly either renting it to the state troopers? And we all know they rent the place down at, across by Southlands. And I guess I'm just asking those questions. Is there a way to get any sort of revenue off of the police station, the building itself, whether it's through renting to other...
Due to law and security type issues, they have to have their own facility. You could house the state police and another police department in the same building, but they would have to be separate units within that building, not shared.
And I assume the square footage doesn't allow for that then?
Excuse me?
The square footage then of the...
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there, my other sort of question is, and you're going to think I'm silly for asking this, but is there a way that there can be a public bathroom basically in that building? I'm just trying to think of, ideas where, the taxpayers are covering this chunk for, a single building, to be added to, onto the rail. And there are obviously services in this, village that we need. I mean, honestly, a public bathroom would be great. I can't tell you how many people, knock on our doors, weekend or for whatever, literally looking for a public bathroom.
Unfortunately, no.
Obviously, I don't want to cover that water and sewer bill for, the entire population who happen to be visiting Rhinebeck.
We looked at the cost to hook up to the sewer, and it was too expensive, so we just have a septic.
Unfortunately, it's a police
septic
station.
tank.
It's a security issue.
Yeah.
The building is secured for police operations, and it can't be open access to that building.
Okay, I guess I was thinking.
But the leach field and septic, it doesn't- the leach field and the septic tank don't allow it anyway. It's just not, it doesn't have the capacity. It would have cost even more to hook it up to the, an extra $150,000, I think, to hook up to the
Even
sewer
if we
line.
could have tied into the sewer system, it's still good to not be used for a public bathroom.
It ends around Tejan's, doesn't it, the sewer system?
Oh, basically, it's at the CVS, I think.
CVS?
Tejan's got his line, but that's not adequate for.
Okay, that was the only really questions I had, I think. Just, for garbage and,
You know, one other thing I would like to throw out there, because somebody did make this comment, is that the village turned down a free police station at the fairgrounds. And that's not the case. The fairgrounds was willing to build another building there that the police department could be housed in, but we were going to have to lease it.
right, yeah.
And it wasn't free.
It wasn't cost effective.
Yeah.
No.
You know, after 20 years, you still don't own anything. So,
And let me make a point that since you're saying that, our interest rate on the bond is 2.99%, correct?
correct.
Yeah.
On the police station bond.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we got lucky.
Originally, we were told by bond counsel to consider 4.5% to 5%, but when we actually went and secured the bond, it was 2.99%. So there was a considerable cost savings there.
The only other question I have is really just under water and sewer, both under the source of revenue and the cost. It says that it's a 6-month period. Does that mean that the revenue, the costs are then,
Well,
the
what-
revenue will be 1.6?
I
When
think,
you look at this, what you're looking at is, you've got 2 years' history on the budget, or you've got the last year, 11 and 12, and then you've got the one that was adopted for 12 and 13, and then you have a balance as of with a date,
Okay.
all right? And that's how much is left for that budget year. And then the very far column to the right is the proposed budget for the next year, 2013-14.
Yeah, I think mine has.
Let me see what you have, Piper.
What page is the proposed budget?
Well, the whole thing is,
Oh, the proposed budget's on there, on this one.
oh, okay, yeah, you don't have the same one that I have. All right, so what you're looking
So I
at
just have a
here,
question, because it says August to January, that's why, and so.
yeah, well, that was metered sales August to January, and it's not updated through the end of March yet.
Okay, so it's basically, okay, but so
Yeah.
this figure is
That's the projection for the entire
the
year.
entire year?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
all right, thank you very much.
you're welcome. Are there any other questions? Just come up to the microphone and state your name, please, Al.
Al Booton, I live at 21 Flat. I'm seeing the total revenue on page 8. Proposed total budget is the shortfall.
You're on page 8, you said?
On page 8, it shows the total revenue. 2013 was $2,104,337, and the projected is $2,188,327. What I'm trying to find is the total projected budget, and I don't see that. So I'm trying to determine what the shortfall is.
You go to the next page. Go to the next page. Like this, on the top.
$288,000.
Sorry, the headline didn't go with the pages.
$1,000 is the difference.
Pull that off the microphone.
sorry.
My understanding, the difference is $100,000.
From the previous year, you mean?
Now, the projected shortfall for 2014, I'm showing you revenues of being $2,188,000, and the projected cost being $2,288,000, approximately $100,000 increase.
Yeah, that's, we're projecting for next year, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And the 2% cap, if you would go with the full 2%, how much revenue would that? You have 44,000 somewhere in there?
Roughly.
Yeah. So you're short
Yeah.
44,000, or 50,000, or 60, about
Well,
60,000?
and as I said, we're not done with this yet either. You know, and what you keep in mind here too is that you have the ability by using money in your reserve account, taking money out of your reserve account to offset part of the tax levy. So we still have to, what we want to do, we want to sharpen our pencil as much as we can and get the expense side down as much as we can. all right? And then see what that's gonna come up with for the tax levy. And then if we have to offset with some from the reserve account to bring it down further, we're willing to do that. But we don't want to do a significant amount simply because you can't keep going to the well and depleting your reserve, because what do you do in case you have an emergency? So.
Right, how much is in the reserve?
We're figuring, right now it's around 300, 350, somewhere in there,
Okay.
you know?
Is that invested and yielding some
Yeah.
revenue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you foresee the projected increase in taxes? It'd be property taxes is where you would be receiving the
Correct,
income?
correct.
And so
Yeah.
what would be the perceived?
What
increase in-
are you asking me what I would find to be an acceptable amount?
What the actual amount would be?
Well, we don't know yet.
Don't know.
We're just not there yet. You know, we're working hard on this, and we're trying to figure out exactly where we can cut and where we can save the most money. And it's not an easy process, you know. And, you know, sometimes what you have to do is, you know, what we've tried to do over the years too is build capital reserves for each department, you know. And so that in the future, if you need to purchase a fire truck, or if you need to buy police cars, or need to buy a highway truck or something like that, that every year you put money into that fund so that you minimize, again, the impact when you have to go do it. So we're looking at it now and we're saying, well, maybe we're not going to be able to put money into the reserves this year, you know, which is not what we want to do, but if you want to keep the budget as low as possible, you may have to bite the bullet for 1 year. You know, that's, to me, that's not the best way to go about it, but sometimes you have to make a tough decision that way too.
So is there any consideration to taking a look at the entire tax basis of property taxes and looking to reassess each property in the Village of Rhinebeck to determine if...
To be quite honest, we haven't even discussed that.
Oh, wait, there was a full reassessment done not too long ago, wasn't there?
Yeah.
But we're a village that reassesses every year. We're permitted to reassess every year.
Yeah, but why would you do that? I mean,
That was a revaluation, I think.
reevaluation it was called?
Yeah.
You know, the town assessors are our assessors, and they did a reevaluation within the last 4 or 5, right?
Yeah, it seems like 2 or 3
Probably
years
a
ago.
little longer
but-
than that, wasn't it? I don't
I
know.
think it was right around the time I got on the board, you know, 2007, 2008, something like that.
So,
Yeah.
so the reassessment would be the town responsibility, not the village responsibility, but the village would say, we need extra income, or how does that all?
Well, we would have to go to the town, you know. That's how it would have to happen, you know.
Okay.
They're appointed as our assessor. We don't have our own assessors.
Is there a plan for another meeting to,
Oh, yeah.
when you
Yeah.
come up with the final
Yep.
proposed budget, then there would be
Yep,
another
and
meeting?
we will have, by law, when you're going to put that budget through, you have to have another public hearing.
Okay, so
Yeah.
right now, it is a public hearing to...
It's a public hearing for the tax cap override,
Okay.
but we still have to go through another public hearing process for the budget. Yep.
Okay.
Once we finalize it, and we're going to present that as our final budget, then we have to have the public hearing.
Thank you.
Yep.
That answers my question.
Okay.
So we have another opportunity
Sure.
to say, hey,
Yep.
let's take a look at each line item and say,
Yeah,
okay. thank
yep.
you.
And I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, because usually we have about 3 or 4 people in the room, and it's us
Yeah.
when we do the budget. Anybody else have a comment?
Sorry. Hi, I'm Mary Crimson. I live over on Cozy. First of all, thank you for taking the time. I know you don't get paid much, I get to read that, for doing this. So as somebody who's considered doing what you're doing, I do appreciate all the time you put in. Mostly, I just have a couple questions. I just want to understand, because there's been a lot of press going back and forth regarding that tax break or the pilot program, or however you want to put it, for the hospital. What's the status on that?
At Tuesday night's village board meeting, both HealthQuest and Kirchhoff Medical Properties were there. The way the thing was structured when they came to us, they were asking for a tax exemption for the entire project. Second and third floors would be under the hospital's operation, so they're a not-for-profit. Kirchhoff Medical Properties was asking for a 7-year tax break on the first floor, which would be rental space to doctors. And the village board gave it a lot of consideration, and Tuesday night we told them that the second and third floors are the hospital operation. We understand that. We support the hospital. We support the idea of the expansion, but the first floor medical space that was to be rented by Kirchhoff Medical Properties would be granted no tax exemption.
Excellent, thank you. I'll
Okay.
put that back to a lot of very concerned people who've been reading the press and haven't been following your meeting notes, so.
Yeah, there was a lot of speculation out there. As a matter of fact, there was something that was posted that day or the day before saying we had already given a tax giveaway.
Right, so I do appreciate that, so thank you for, I know it takes a lot of back and forth and to actually review that and what it means to the village to say yes or say no, so thank you for your time on that. Regarding the garbage, what's the motivation, just because I haven't sat in your seats, what's the motivation to keep it?
Motivation to keep it is because the first time that we had suggested that we may eliminate it, about probably 30, 35 people showed up. And of course, they're all ones that use it.
Of course.
Basically, they were all opposed to us discontinuing the service. You know, we went through basically the same discussion we've had to here tonight and explained the dynamics of the whole situation. And the comment I made that night was that, you know, I appreciate you're all here and I appreciate what you're saying, but to me, when 25% of your constituency is using a service, that means 75% doesn't think you're doing a very good job. And the big thing is they don't find it convenient. You know, they have to put their whatever recycling stream or waste or whatever out on different days. They have to buy tags. And they find it easier just to deal with one company and put all the stuff out at the curb on one day and bang, it's done with. And for us, it's the financial implication, spending all of that money for 2 pieces of equipment for what is a very limited service.
I mean, I'm not telling you any secrets, if you read your numbers, while the costs have decreased, the revenue has decreased more dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, you only need 50% of the vote to keep you in office. But if you look back, it's lovely to see the adopted budgets back 2 years where you see that the costs have dropped dramatically, but the revenue has dropped dramatically. And, I mean, I live over in the village and I walk my children to school. The number of hired out garbage containers has jumped dramatically. And it's no reflection upon the men, I think I've seen many women, so I'll be correct in saying men and women that are picking up our village garbage, but I was talking to my husband this morning saying their costs can't have dropped dramatically. They're still driving the same routes because at any given time, even if they're hired, and I happen to use the town dump, but they still have to drive by my house every day in case.
We have the same amount of lane miles we cover no matter how many houses we pick up.
Right, and so this makes very little sense.
And we still have the same mileage to the plant in order to dispose of the garbage that we have no matter how many we pick
You're
up.
making less per pickup because you're picking up less. And so while you may have some difference in terms of gas because they don't have to keep stopping at every house, so it's a little more efficient, I can't imagine that the revenue makes sense. And so I would strongly suggest that you stand up to those 25% and say, give 2 choices, garbage or 4% above our tax cap. And I have a feeling most of them would be happy to make the phone call rather than have their taxes go up by that amount. Because the reality is the difference in cost is not substantial to the private. And maybe there's some way to spend a few tax dollars to put some program in place, because I'm guessing mostly seniors are the ones who are used to doing this, have been doing it forever. And as many seniors find it's difficult to change, maybe we could put a program in place to help them transition. Maybe we could reach out to those who are currently using it and help them to sign up see the difference in the private contractors and so forth. I'm guessing that would cost us a lot less than this. So that was one thing. This is a funny one that came up. Why is it costing us $10,000 this year to grind mulch?
We grind mulch as needed. Yeah. But Howie he's the liaison to that department.
You know,
he can answer that.
The mulch days are-
Oh, yeah.
That's our business.
Yeah. We pick up the brush and we make the mulch out of it. Now it costs us $10,000 to make that brush into
But why
mulch.
did it not cost
Because in the past, it's been buried under another line within the street department somewhere. But this year, somebody had put it in the same line as taking down the trees, which was not the right place to put it, so we decided to have a separate line for mulch. We've always been paying that. Well, the price has gone up as the price of oil's gone up, because that takes the guy all day long to grind this mulch.
And I think we grind it into mulch because we can then sell it.
Yeah, we sell it, so,
And do we make that back? I didn't-
yeah, we have a revenue line on here.
Revenue equals cost?
Um,
Is profit zero?
Yeah, it's not a profit-making operation.
But is it a negative?
Well, we
It's
estimate,
not bad.
$8,000 worth of sales of mulch for this year.
But our
And the point is that we pick the stuff up and we have to do something with it, and we can't continue to pilot and pilot and pilot. And there's also an issue that we have to think about with DEC, with the proximity to the stream, and they give us a clean bill of health, the way we're doing it. They say we're doing an excellent job of how we handle it. The revenue, sometimes, you'll see a disparity in the revenue, a big disparity in the revenue and the cost sometimes, and I'll give you an example. Was when Hurricanes Irene and Lee came through, we picked up like 60 truckloads of debris after the storms. So the next time the guy came to grind the mulch, we had like 3 times the mulch we normally grind, so it cost us a lot more. But, you know, we had a lot more mulch we could sell too.
Sure.
Yep.
So then my last question is about page 6, serial bonds, third line down. $23,000 on the police station principal. Why did it jump to 35 on here? Why did it go from 22 to 35? Isn't that paying off the principal on the police station? And why did it jump so quickly from one year to the next if we have a fixed rate of 2.99%?
You know, it's not like a mortgage where there's a steady payment year to year. There are varying amounts although it would average the same over 20 years, it varies from year to year a little bit.
Actually,
That's a pretty big jump.
that was a different bond.
Oh, is that the one that, for
That
the
was a
land?
bond- That was a bond that, that 23,000 was our last payment for this fiscal year.
So
So
this is
that
a
was,
new police
yeah,
station bond?
we changed it. We should have left that line item in. We had to use the same item since it went to zero.
Okay, so the.
It was a
whole
street
bond-
truck that, the last payment was 23,000, we actually just paid it. So it
Okay.
went to zero. So now that line item is now this police station principal, which is at 35,000, and
we'll
that's
see
a straight
that for
across.
30 for 20 years.
No, not necessarily, because this is still, the police station interest is 39.6, Lisa? And that, they come out,
First year,
what's that?
first year.
For the first year.
It won't, it will average less than this.
Yes.
35,000 plus 39,600, it's going to be, the average is going to be less than that over 20
And
years.
we have the bond schedule over at Village Hall.
Yeah, if you want to see it. It comes out to about 5,000 a month over 20 years.
Are you feeling confident, so is, when you, and I apologize for not being involved, but when you bonded the police station, you knew this? You knew it was going to be 35 and then slightly less in the interest? This is-
Well, actually, we thought it was going to be higher, because we thought the interest rate would be higher.
Right, after you
Yeah.
locked in the
Yep.
interest rate. After
Yep.
you locked in.
You're locked in the, yes.
So there's no cost overruns at this point on you're not told by your contractor it's going to cost more than it was supposed to?
It was a little bit of cost overrun in the communications equipment, but not significant.
And nothing else?
As far as the construction of the building itself, no.
We're not going to bond more
Yep.
than what we have now.
I just went through a major construction project on my house, so I'm quite aware of how things
Yeah.
fluctuate a little bit.
You know, we've actually been told, it was remarkable, that the extras that we ran into a little thing, a case when we dug the foundation because of the soil type that on the south end by Joy's house, that they had to do some shoring to keep the cellar hole from collapsing. But we ended up coming in, and the add-ons to this project came in at like 1%. And they said that that's unheard of in a construction project of this type, that it's that cheap. There was a couple other minor things, you know, and I think, what do we have, an additional 15,000 maybe?
For the, was
The
it?
shoring and there
I
was a
think it
couple
came
other
out to
things.
18 something
18 something, yeah. So, we-
So,
for change orders.
so
Change orders,
divorcing
yep.
out the state mandates on retirement, how much you have to put in there and so forth and so on, what, in your opinion, is forcing us over the 2%?
oh, definitely the police station.
But did you, so you knew that?
Yeah, we knew that.
It took us over the 4%?
Oh,
And so
yeah.
you feel that this isn't news, that those of us who are
No.
just paying attention now,
No,
whatever.
no.
We were announcing it all along.
Yeah, if nobody was aware we were gonna override the tax cap, it's just because they didn't stay informed about what was going on. And we talked about that construction project for 2 years, and we knew when we decided to build it, we said, we will override the tax cap.
So the tax cap's not because there are cost overruns that you didn't anticipate on the building, it's not because
Nope.
you're giving the hospital a tax break. These are, we could have told you this a year ago, you should have paid attention.
We did tell people this a year ago.
But I think it got convoluted because of the hospital.
Yeah.
I think the tax break that was being bantered around because of, got.
Yeah, but that was their idea, that wasn't our idea.
All we said was no. We said no.
Right, but it's
And that just came up a couple months ago.
Yeah.
short memories,
Yeah.
as you know. All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anybody else? Go ahead, Piper. We're gonna put a time limit on you, though.
Sure, very short. I'm sorry, I have questions.
No, she has good questions.
I just, and it's really just a clarification on the garbage, I guess for public record, if you will, is that the garbage service is not a service that is open to anyone who is a village property owner. It's really only, and I don't know if that's calculated into the, I don't know how we come up with 25% or whatever, but just.
I'll tell you why, how.
I mean,
There's so many households, and then we go around, we count and see how many people are putting garbage bags out. We've done this like 5, 6 different times,
Sure. No, I mean.
just to try to get an average.
But I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that, like, whether it's residents or businesses, I mean, basically, I'm paying for a garbage service, probably a good chunk of it between the two properties that I own, yet I am not allowed to use it. That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I feel that's unfair.
Every property owner in the village is taxed.
Yes.
Okay? And then the cost of the revenue from the bags helps to offset that cost, but it has continued to slide in the other direction.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, and
Sure.
I would,
you have a very valid point.
I really hope that you guys,
And that's not uncommon to other municipalities that pick up waste. Commercial people are not allowed to use the garbage service.
well, what about the people on East Market Street who use it? They use
Which
the same-
people on East Market Street?
Most of the retailers on East Market Street use basically put their cardboard out there, it's piled all high, wrapped in the, twine or however.
No, those are private people that are
We
picking that
don't, we
up.
don't pick that up.
Well, some people I think are also putting theirs out because I've talked.
Well, they might put it out, but we don't pick it up. We only pick up residential properties.
Okay. I mean,
Yep.
I think we're saying the same thing or a little bit of the same thing, I mean.
I mean, if it's a homeowner, yes, but if it's a business downtown and they put cardboard out, we don't pick that up.
Has it changed over the years?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
There's businesses that put cardboard out every week, and we only pick up cardboard once a month.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Yeah, that-
I'm, I guess hoping the garbage, if you guys keep it, it's more like Village of Water and Sewer, that whoever wants it pays for it, kind of thing. All right, thank you.
Go ahead, Mary.
Follow on. So if you're worried about the 25%, why not take the 25%, that number, and divide it into the cost and raise the bag tag to that? I know they're not.
Because in a few years, if we need new trucks,
We're going to have to make the rate for 25% of the population so high that then we'll have 2 new garbage trucks that we're going to be contracting with a private hauler, and we'll have no use for them.
I'm guessing that they grew up pretty quickly if all of a sudden you made it $15. If that was more reflective of the actual cost, I can't walk in, I don't use it, a lot of people don't use it, and for whatever reason, but we're subsidizing it, so why don't you stop the rest of us subsidizing it, and the people, the 25%, the 35 people that arrived,
But we are
why don't
stopping
you
it.
just tell them?
But we are
Okay,
not.
this is the actual cost. They
We're
were-
looking to be as fiscally responsible as we can, and we think that the direction to go is to eliminate garbage service.
I
Anybody else have any comments?
I have a question. My name is Isabel Schulte, and I live in the village. Over the years, I've wondered about the way you collect revenue, which seems to me to be very antiquated. And have you thought of changing that method, that it would be more cost efficient? For example,
Collecting revenue in which way, Isabel?
well, for example, water bills. I no longer have to go around with a flashlight and write it down, how much water it is, but I get a notice and I have to pay a check. Could that not be done automatically? Could that not be added to the village bill, the property tax? Could it not be segmented so that there's you know what the usage was last year and just allocate that sum? That would
So are you suggesting that we would assess it on the tax bill as a separate charge? Is that what you're suggesting?
that and perhaps then also debit our accounts in our banks automatically.
You know, I can't really comment on that part of it simply because I've never investigated or looked into that. It's certainly, there probably is a way that we could set up some type of an automatic bill pay.
Yeah.
But we would have to talk to some type of agency that does that type of thing. The problem you run into whenever you do something like that is whoever's monitoring or doing this for you takes a fee. So you lose revenue. It's always usually the end user is the one that's paying for it. So you, in essence, would have to pay more to have the convenience of that service.
I think M&T Bank collected the town tax last January and February.
Well, they have their own tax collector.
I saw M&T Bank on my statement.
But they were charged, the town is charged a fee for that.
But if it were integrated, that instead of, for the town, for example, the M&T
Yeah,
Bank.
well, all I can really say is we'd have to investigate something like that. You know, we've never looked into it. And certainly, you know, it's a valid question, and maybe there's some way we can set up an automatic payment type thing.
Because you're paying a lot to get a $75 water bill, it seems. A large percentage of your collection is in the administration of it, from what I've seen. Although you have a lot of penalty charges, 20,000 or something like that, for late payments, which you would then not have because it would be automatic. But it would seem to me it would reduce administrative costs, benefits, retirement costs, miscellaneous postage, et cetera, et cetera. Et cetera.
Okay, thank you for the suggestion. Anybody else? Okay, with that, then I will ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Thank you all for coming.
You just took these. These two.
Just the line. This is the proportionate
Thank you,
share.
sir.
We can put
Good
in
to
the
see you.
user
Thank you.
Districts.
Yeah, you're
Thank
just
you.
talking about these two.
Yeah. Hi, thanks for coming.
How's it going?
So, in other words, to the general fund, that would go from 65,000 to 19.
Test.
Oh, I get it. I didn't realize the way he had it broke out. Well, that's-
Okay. Let me look through my paperwork here quickly. What's that? No, this is the general meeting. Probably just some minor discussions here. Nothing pertaining to the budget or the tax cap.
Jim?
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Chrissy, make you copies of this from Wayne.
I had actually, I had a copy of that in my folder, and I believe I have it with me.
Okay.
Okay, I had gotten an email from John McGuire, and we have that chief's car that was out of service. And John works for, he's working part-time, I guess now, for Adirondack Fire Equipment, and they have a client looking for a chief's car no older than 12 years, and he knows that one of our chief's cars is out of service. Is there any interest in selling that vehicle? I mean, it's sitting out behind the firehouse. And I don't know whether we want to take that thing and have somebody take a look at it and find out what it would cost to fix it, or what's wrong with it. I know we're preliminary, we were told it needed a new engine, but what do you guys want to do?
What year is it, do you know offhand?
Top of my head, I'm gonna say it's a 92, Howie, but
Sell it?
Oh, yeah, we should sell it, but do we
Yeah.
want to see what's really wrong with it first? To decide how much to sell it for?
I mean, John Gay looked at it. I could go talk to him and find out, you know?
Yeah.
Do we have to, usually we post?
We'd have to put it out to bid.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do that.
But, you know, we already know that there's no, as long as two parties can come to an agreement, I don't think you're really forced to go out to bid on it. But, you know, we usually do the bid just to give equal opportunity for people to buy it. I mean, if you guys just want to go out to bid on it, I'll tell John that's what we're going to do, and then his client can put a bid on it.
It's not my area of expertise as far as, should we fix it, fix
All
the
right.
engine, or?
Why don't we do this? I'll talk to John Gay, and I'll get some input from him, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right?
Is he a mechanic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Tony Patorti had sent me a letter, and it's the usual one. Tony represents clients for the liquor licenses, and he represents the fairgrounds and Johnny O'Han J&S Concessions. So he sent this letter, and it's, I represent Dutchess County Agricultural Society, RFD Entertainment, Inc., which is the fire company that has the beer concession, and J&S Concessions. They will apply to the New York State Liquor Authority for permission to sell beer and wine at events listed below. During these events, beer and wine will be sold for on-premises consumption within a fenced area. Liquor Authority has requested acknowledgement from the Village of Rhinebeck that you are aware of the above events and proposed sales. I have attached the front page of each application being filed. August 20th through 25th, 2013, during Dutchess County Fair, Dutchess County Agricultural Society Incorporated and RFD Entertainment, Inc., also J&S Concessions, will apply for permits. So he's just looking for us to approve that. So I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I have to abstain.
So we've got
Is that the attorney from?
four yeses and one abstention.
Is that the guy
You want
from
to give the reason why, Howie?
Oh, yeah, I work for the beer company that sells beer to the fairgrounds, and my company's also a sponsor of the fairgrounds. So I have to abstain from the vote.
Okay. And I have a letter from the American Legion, and this is from Wayne, and it's for the annual Memorial Day Parade. You know, ceremonies are scheduled for Monday, May 27th. The parade will kick off at 10:30. They would like to request that Mulberry Street, north of Platt Avenue, be closed to all non-participating traffic during the lineup. The parade will line up on Mulberry Street, north of Platt Avenue, and utilize the fields at the Dutchess County Fairgrounds at the corner of Platt and Mulberry, as well as the large fields next to the former Village Police Headquarters. Parade will step off promptly at 10:30 a.m., proceed south on Mulberry to East Market, west on East Market to Route 9, south on Route 9 to Rhinebeck Cemetery, where ceremonies will take place following the conclusion of the parade. I'd like to request that the Village Police Department be on duty for the lineup, parade, and ceremonies, and would like the Village Police car to lead the parade if possible. If permission is granted, we would like to invite the board to participate in the line of march, which is planned to form on Mulberry Street at 9:30 a.m. If any member of the board requires a vehicle, please make the appropriate arrangements. We do not have the capability of providing vehicles for participants. Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
It's the same as last year, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Anybody else got anything?
I have adjustments, water adjustments that didn't have
Or
last year.
sewer adjustments?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I have 3 adjustments here. One of them was a double charge. $54. One of them, a customer, didn't get the check in time and was charged $5.40. And I wiped it off. There was a meter miscalculation for $36 for the water. I also have the sewer adjustments, which you probably haven't seen, but it's similar to the water. There's the same meter miscalculation in the water carried through to the to the sewer. And then there was a charge applied to the sewer that really should have been applied to the water department. That was $180. And then there were some auto adjustments of $4.04. So I want to make a motion to approve the sewer and water adjustments as stated.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Anything else? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted.